What's going on, my friends? This is Dave Sharpe. We are going to talk today about a total newcomer who has generated over 900 leads in 4 weeks with a really cool and unique strategy. He's gone viral with it. It's playful. It's fun. He seems like a fantastic guy. I'm going to get to know him right along with you. So with that being said, my friends, legendary family, help me welcome Ian to the show. What's up, brother?
Hey, Dave. Nice to see you. Good morning and everything to the legendary team and all.
Hey, man. Great morning to you. Where are you calling in from?
So I live in a place called Beaconsfield, Buckinghamshire, and it's about an hour of drive to London city centre.
Nice,
and about
man.
half an hour from Oxford.
Okay, great. So you are brand new to online marketing, or is this are you a serial entrepreneur?
No, I'm brand new. As I say, I've been a bodyguard for 20 years. So when I was waiting backstage to come on here, I've been sat backstage for 20 years of my life looking at people. So, and it's completely new to me, completely new mindset, and new vision. I'm 50 now and I'm a granddad. So I was thinking about ways that I could actually earn another income to come in, and as my bodyguarding life slows down. So we can't be doing that forever, right?
Well, two thoughts come to mind. First of all, you're probably going to be one of the coolest grandpas. Second thing is, what do you mean, man? You can't be tackling guys and doing, kung fu and jujitsu and taking down people until you're 70 or 80. I'm looking at, come on, man. I believe in you.
The problem is, you see, with clients nowadays, they like the young, the slim guys, and a bit more vibrant. You got a bit of gray hair, people think, right, he's got experience, but he's not so in your face as but if there's any trouble, then I'm here.
I got the dad bod and you got the granddad bod.
That's it. What can you do?
Oh man. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, I get it. You're looking for that, that second chapter to your career, and you'd prefer to do it from home, in the comfort of your own home. Yeah, in the comfort of your own, even if you just want to wear your underwear. Do you guys call underwear over in the UK, or do you do you call it trousers or what?
Yeah, so you call pants, but we call them underwear, right?
Well, we call underwear, right? But you call your underwear pants?
Yeah, underpants. Yeah, we call them underpants.
Right,
or
right.
Whitey tighties, depends how you're rolling.
Hey there. Hey. See, I always get my Australian accent mixed up with my UK. I'm always like, put another shrimp on the barbie, and my wife's like, that's Australian.
A lot of people try to do the English accent, but my people can't work out my accent because I grew up as a kid in America. So 13 years of my life, so I know how it rolls there.
It's subtle. It's subtle. So how did you find us? Were you another TikToker? Were you on YouTube? I mean, do you remember when you saw the video or began to see the messages or videos or posts that began to get you attracted, and sort of, were you skeptical at first? Tell us a little bit about that very beginning journey.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Dave. I was in quite a low place not too long ago, a good 3 months ago. And, my bodyguarding career and my clients were very difficult. And, I thought they were living a fantastic lifestyle. So I was living a lifestyle with them as a bodyguard, doing all the best things, going on jets and helicopters and all that. And then, I turned up one day and went to the apartment where they lived in London, in Kensington. And they moved out in the night, got rid of all their furniture, all their artwork, all their cars, and they just shipped out to Monaco in the middle of the night. And they didn't tell me. And they left me high and dry with 2 months' salary, and as a bodyguard, 5-6 figures a month. It's a big hit to take. And I kind of went downhill. And it wasn't so much that I was losing my money. It was because I had a good relationship with these people. And, when you're a bodyguard for someone, you become quite close, as you respect to what in an industry it is, you look after people.
Sure.
Then, so I went downhill. I was really low, and I was at the end of my tether. I think I put on my Facebook group, in your group, that thanks to Legendary, kind of snapped me out of it a little bit. So I was laying in bed, really depressed, feeling sad for myself. And, I wrote letters to my family because I thought I'd let them all down and I wasn't sure where I was going to be. I wasn't the dad I wanted to be anymore. And, they looked at me like, oh, we're looking at you, Dad, to support us. But I wasn't a lull. And then, so I was laying in bed one day and my son sent me a TikTok video. I looked at it, I thought, that's pretty funny. So I clicked on TikTok and I was scrolling like everyone does. And I came past this guy and he was saying, look, I've lost everything in my life. I had a load of gyms. The gyms closed down because of COVID. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. So I started this 15-day challenge. And I went, oh, really? Okay, good luck with that. I kept scrolling. And I thought, right, I'll go back. A couple of days later, I went back, clicked on the challenge, did the 15 days. I was a bit skeptical at the start, but then I started, on day 5 or day 4, I was speaking to my manager at Legendary, which is Patrick Jones, life-changing chap. He was talking to me about it, real down-to-earth chap, lives in Switzerland. We got on quite well, and I got quite a good rapport with him now. And then from there, I did my challenge, and then all of a sudden, other people kept clicking on to say, "Oh, Ian, how are you? And nice to meet you," and all that sort of thing. And some people really took me under their wing to give me some advice and some help. There's a chap, Mark Caramucci. He works for Legendary. Josh Smith, the Dadpreneur, the Winning Edge Formula. Life-changing talks we've had for these people that helped me all the way through. And these people, are part of the community at Legendary. And when you want to be a part of that community, they're all, in your community and they want to help you. They want you to grow and want you to be, spectacular, not just for them, but for everyone, because we all want to make it, right? People like Dan Davis, he's in France at the moment. He's in Legendary. And Mark Scott. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Scott, Find Your Way, #1. These are all top sellers and people that are a part of a good community. And it kind of changed me. Some of the words they were saying to me, I was like, do you know what? You're right. I don't need to be down. There is more out there for me at 50, and I still got things to be doing. So, and here we are, and it's absolutely life changing.
Wow.
It's shocking.
Wow. What a testimony. What a story. It's powerful, man. I think sometimes we just look at things like, there's just financial transactions, but it's really life transformations that happen because the humanity of this all, and it's so not transactional. It's so important because each individual person has their own has their own life that they're living, and when we do something, we put it sometimes can be not life or death, but it can feel like that,
Yeah, I can.
and especially if you're down or you're going through a bit of depression, like I think so many people have over the last year and a half, especially with everything that's been going on. It can feel even more heavy and more important. And then on the opposite side, those highs of being lifted up, like you describe, can feel so invigorating. And I'm so thrilled that you've connected through our community and just through this the action that you've taken with the people that have just given you those little inspiration, little bits of motivation along the way. I kind of have felt myself like a bowling ball oftentimes throughout my career as I'm kind of going down the lane. I'm the pins are off in the distance, but I almost fall into the gutter until I realize they put those gutter bumpers in, and I just I kind of bounce off of somebody, and I kind of then go to the other side and bounce off of somebody else, and they don't let me fall into the gutter, which is where I've been and where I've taken my own self a lot of times in life without support. And so I can very much relate to that. And it's interesting. I also think, Ian, that we go through that in different stages of our lives. So you're 50. I've gone through that in my early 20s. I've gone through that in my early to mid 30s. You're talking about going through a lull, or some would call it a midlife crisis, or some would call it a bit of or a bout of depression, an ebb or an ebb or a flow, right? An ebb, right? And I think, it's just a testament, I think, to the power of community and support. that, oftentimes when I try to do life or business alone, right? And because sometimes when things are going good, I begin to cut those strings of support, right? When I got the job or whatever, I kind of am like, hey, I'm good. And then when that rug gets pulled out from under me, it's kind of like, oh shit, I kind of feel like I'm out in the ocean and I don't have really I'm not in the middle of a boat. I'm on a raft that's running out of air. And so, I really can identify with that, and I'm just thrilled that you have connected with the people that you have.
I think the biggest thing here, Dave, is the fact that going through maybe the years of my life. I got married very quick. I got married when I was 24. I've been married 26 years. I got 4 children, and now I'm a granddad. So I'm in that phase of my life now where the children are actually, all driving. They've all got their own jobs. They're all moving out to their own homes. So my house is a bit more empty.
Yeah.
And it's, working as a full-time bodyguard away for 20 years, in 20 years, I've been home maybe 3 Christmases, in 20 years, because a lot of clients, they want to go skiing at Christmas. They want to go places in Europe to ski or to Colorado.
Yeah.
And then you come back from skiing over Christmas period, and then it's Easter, and they want to go race to the race courses or to their homes, second homes in somewhere hot. Or Caribbean, and then in the summertime, and then you're away for 6 months in the summer. So, you get no time with your family. And it's only now I've been able to have a bit of time with my family. And it's been life-changing. And I'll tell you a scenario that happened to me yesterday, Dave, that my daughter phoned me. She lives in Devon, right, in Cornwall. And she phoned me. She said, Dad, look, I don't feel very well. I'm at home. I've moved to Devon. It's quite a new place. She's got no friends there yet. And she wants to move. She met someone new, a fantastic guy. And then she phoned me. She said, look, Dad, we're not well. I said, what's happened? She said, I've got headaches. I can't taste anything. I've got a sore throat. And I'm having problems breathing. So I said to her, I said, look, what do you think? And she did a test, and it came back positive for her COVID.
Yeah.
And then she got no one to help her out. So working with Legendary now, I'm free. I jumped on the train yesterday, 4 hours on the train. Went shopping to the supermarket, bought a load of food, some meals and everything like that, dropped at the doorstep. I wanted to give her a big hug, but I saw her through the window, and then she had some food, and then 4 hours on the train. Now, if I was doing my career, I would probably be somewhere else. I could be in Hong Kong or Singapore or LA or wherever I would be, and I would have just been a quick Zoom call to say, look, sorry, daughter, but that was priceless. I mean, life-changing stuff to be able to just pop on the train and see her. I would never have had that opportunity otherwise. So thanks to Legendary for that.
I mean, no mention of just the freedom. I think that's what we're all after. It's if I could earn $1 a day and have the freedom that I want, it's the number, the amount is not important. It's the freedom. And I think that's why it's really important from an entrepreneur standpoint at the beginning to really relearn money. So I can eliminate bills that I don't need, so I can live below my means, and so I can really begin to get a taste of freedom. You don't have to make $1 million a year to experience freedom. You just have to have enough to be able to pay bills and to be able to have a little bit of fun. But these moments that you're talking about, being able to go and be there for your daughter, I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about mansions and Lamborghinis, but what you just said was so powerful that the hair on the back of my neck stood up, because as I get older, I realize that's the most important benefit of freedom, is I get to be there around my wife every day. I get to be there and put my kids to bed every night. You get to take the train 4 hours. God, I don't know about you, but when I was in my 20s, for example, like 4 hours, hell no. But right, you get older and you're like, man, I'll travel 8 hours to go and just drop some food off.
Yeah, it's just your daughter, right, Dave? When your daughter, I've got 3 boys and 1 daughter, and my daughter's, the princess of my life,
Sure.
and she's 23 and she's got Crohn's, and I tell you, the saddest part of Crohn's is that it was my fault she got Crohn's. The doctor said it was because of stress, and I was never at home, and I didn't realize that she needed her dad to be at home. And she was dealing with her own stresses. So when I was stressed with a client being away in skiing or in Sri Lanka or whatever, when there was civil war going on, the clients would be under certain pressure. And then they'd put their pressures on me as a bodyguard, sort this out. And I'd sort it, try to smooth it out a little bit. But then my pressures came home. So I talked to my family and they said, "Oh, I hope Dad's okay." And then she got some stress and worry. And with this became her Crohn's. And I take
that's
full responsibility for that.
and well, that's a story that you tell yourself, and that puts a lot of pressure on you. I can tell, and you probably have a lot of guilt about that. But I have a stepbrother who has a son, so he's my nephew, and he has Crohn's, and he grew up in a very stress-free environment, and he still has Crohn's.
Oh, okay.
So Ian, I challenge you to potentially retell that story, because you may not be the absolute bare person of responsibility for your daughter's Crohn's, and I offer that to you as just a gift, hopefully, because I can tell that you're such an empath. You're somebody who really carries the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you're really willing to take responsibility for things, and I respect that. But brother, there's a certain point, and I think as an entrepreneur now, figuring out ways to relieve ourselves from the depression and the guilt of the past, as well as the anxiety of the future, right?
Yeah.
Those are real key moves that are important for us as entrepreneurs, because otherwise what happens as we begin to second guess everything that we do, and then we begin to maybe get depressed about it, and then of course have anxiety and fear about the future, so we become paralyzed and don't take action. And so this is part of the mindset, and I think you'll be so excited about the personal growth, and you probably already are, that happens during this process. It's not just about making money, it's about getting freedom. We talked about that. It's also about growing as a human being, right? This is something that I would just offer to you to think about, is what are ways in which I can let go of shame, guilt, and things that make me depressed about the past, as well as be aware of anxiety that I have about the future, which may keep me from taking action because I'm afraid it won't be perfect, or I'm afraid it won't be good enough, or whatever. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, clear, crystal, very clear. Even like people like Mark Carmucci, he works for Legendary. I speak to him on a daily basis on a WhatsApp, and we talk to each other at night time on a Zoom. And he's got some difficult times, and we kind of bounce ideas off each other, and we pick each other up. Mm-hmm. Now he picked me up, and now it's my turn to help him. Because I want us all to make it. It's only now I've been able to make a decision where I can actually see a future and a purpose. Well, before maybe my purpose was slightly diminishing.
Sure.
Because life changes, and people, your responsibilities change. When you're a granddad, it's much different than when you have your own little people. It's
Well, I think also one of the things that I realized when I got clean, I went from this absolute hopeless state to where I can remember when I was 18 thinking, my life is over. I'm going to be doing what I'm doing, using drugs like I am, substances, for the rest of my life. I thought I was hooked, addicted, and I had no future. So imagine I was 18 with that level of hopelessness and depression. And what happened was at 24, I got clean, and I began to be introduced to some of the concepts of recovery. And one of the concepts was help others, right?
Yeah.
And so what happened was I got introduced to this concept of you can't keep what you have unless you give it away, and in this spirit of service. And what happened was, it wasn't just about me anymore. I realized, when I was in my depression and hopelessness, I was the center of my universe, and that's why I was so in self-pity and depression, because the world was on top of me, I felt like. And when I realized, when I got clean and my head cleared enough that I could begin to help others, and be there for others, it gave me a sense of purpose. And so I've carried that and built on that over the years, of course, to be there for people I don't know, in various forms of service, be there for people I do know, other people struggling with the same things that I went through, which is what you just mentioned. Also be there more for my family, which is something in this season of my life I've made a more dedicated effort, because I wasn't the best dad and husband for many years, right? I was not present, and I was traveling, and I was a workaholic and all this shit. So it's I think the beautiful thing that's on the precipice for you, you're coming up on it, you're realizing this, is that the power of being of service to other people is actually the most profound way to bring yourself joy and pull yourself up out of a deep lull in deep depression. It seems like that makes total sense to you right now.
It does. You think, when you talk about, your recovery and things that you've gone through, and, kudos to you for all those things that you've done. And it's been fantastic that you've made that change and transformation. When you're in an industry like I've been in, nearly everyone that I've been looking after, probably 90%, has an abusing substance, because they have wealth and they've got power and money, and they always seem to have this recreational way of life that's totally destructive, and you can see their lives going down the pan, and they've got everything in their lives, but they're still not happy. So when you've actually go right back down to the bare bones of it, these people aren't going to be happy until they have a reality check, and I'll be honest, a lot of the people that I've been with, it's been quite traumatizing. A lot of people have been in some very bad situations, and I want them to help them all. But the biggest thing is, when I'm not in that industry anymore, and now I go live on TikTok. I mean, some of my lives are quite marathon, like 2, 3, 4 hours long, my marathons. And people actually message me now and they say, Ian, are you going to go live tonight? I go, yeah. I mean, being a lone wolf bodyguard, you're looking after the clients, you're pushing them forward to make them fantastic and great, and bringing up their lives and enhancing them, their personal brands. And now all of a sudden you got people texting you to say, Ian, are you going to go live? And I go live at 1 o'clock because it helps them, because they're in, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they're going to sit down and have their dinner at 7, 8 o'clock. So let's go live then. Okay, let's go. It's all about helping people. I tell you what, the accomplishments and feelings you get from people ringing you to say thanks.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we miss also as marketers who deliver value, education, and hope to people, is that, because that's what really marketing is all about. You're giving somebody hope that they can solve a problem. I can solve the problem that my child won't sleep, if that's your niche. I can solve the problem that you can save your marriage, if that's your niche. I can solve the problem that you can actually make money online and not have, to be in a depression because you lost your job, if that's that's the niche. But the beautiful part is also that as I'm helping others, it's simultaneously I'm the one who's actually benefiting. And that's one of the ways that I think I've had such a long-term career doing this, is because certainly, I mean, there's been trolls and haters you can imagine over the 10 years, people who have taken shots and this and that, and they're going to be, I mean, I can't even tell you, but and of course there's people who haven't, who might go through a training and then not do anything with it. But the power of me being there to help serve and give hope helps me as much or more than it helps the people that I'm actually serving, which because I have that perspective, I always stay fired up, because I'm not dependent if you go and do something with what I say, but just the fact that I'm saying it, that I'm delivering it with passion, that I'm delivering hope and value to people, keeps me fired up. So it's sort of a coinky dink, right? You kind of think about it like, hold on a second, how am I the one who's benefiting more from helping others than the people that I'm supposedly helping? And it's because, well, not everybody who I'm helping actually takes the help, wants the help, does anything with the help. That's fine. That's their business. But the fact that I'm serving with a heart of a spirit within my heart of service gets me out of bed excited and passionate, and keeps me from slipping into depressions even though that is something that runs throughout my family. And I think a lot of us struggle with that. I don't think that's an uncommon thing. But does
No.
that make sense to you, right? That spirit of service, you being the one who's the main beneficiary of you actually serving and delivering value and hope.
Yeah, I mean, some people I've noticed, people will text me and they'll comment. I'll go on TikTok in the morning or an email and they'll text me, and I'm quite open with my account. You can email me, you can WhatsApp me, you can do whatever you want. I don't mind. If you want help in the middle of the night, just send me a message. And then people are like, oh, I needed to talk because, something you put on TikTok, it made me feel really sad because it made me feel that, you were in a bad place and you've come out of that bad place. And this is my story. And I think, okay, these people are actually, understanding where I'm coming from. And a lot of people go through it, even men, because a lot of men don't like to discuss it because
Yeah.
A lot of men don't come out and say, do you know what, I feel really down. Because the other guys will be like, oh, really? I'll get over it, But, it's deeper than that.
Yeah, of course.
My depression's, I would say, I took medication for my depression. It didn't really work. And the only thing that would work for me was I had hypnotherapy. And hypnotherapy is, people think about, oh, really? It's wow. I said, well, I'll try anything to get out of the doom I was in. And my depression goes back from when I was a little kid.
Sure.
I grew up in America as a kid. My dad was in the oil business. I used to live in Canada, in Edmonton. Then we moved to Calgary. And then we moved to Palm Springs, California. Then we moved to Sarasota in Florida, and then to Daytona Beach. And then every weekend, Dad was in the oil business. And it was big business in the 70s and 80s.
Sure.
And my dad was a wealthy chap, and with wealth comes, fast liquor, fast cars, fast ladies. And unfortunately, it got the better of him, his money. Every weekend we go from Daytona Beach and it's a little Cessna 172, and we go to Corpus Christi for the weekend. And that was my life as a kid.
Yeah.
And then we're living the dream as a kid.
Sounds fantastic, but everything you just mentioned are little hits of trauma each time you move and get ripped from your roots to move to a different place, or each time that you see your dad drunk, or each time that those take a toll on a small kid.
Well, it's even worse than that. My family, I would say my mum and dad were very young when they had their children. I had an older sister, and my dad was so wealthy, he wasn't seeing it in the right mindset, and he wanted to be free. And his idea of freedom was to be able to travel with my mum to the Far East and to Europe. And as children, me and my sister were a hindrance, So when I was 5, so 1975, very different. My dad wanted a Cadillac. We were going to Denny's, we were going to A&W root beers and all that sort of stuff that you did in the 70s. And then my dad said, right, me and mum are going away for a while. I was like, really? So my sister went to Bozeman, Montana, into a foster home. And I went to South Carolina to, Orangeburg with another family. And I didn't see my family for 2 years. They just went traveling.
Oh.
I mean, those little things, it's not until recently I realized that when I had my hypnotherapy, that was the trauma time, because between 0 and 7 is the time when your brain as a child. And I thought they didn't want me. My sister was the same. So I didn't see my sister because she was in Bozeman, and we were just different parts of America. And then 2 years later, we met up in a Denny's, and they said, oh, your parents are here now. And it was quite traumatizing because the foster parents were like, I don't want to leave you. Because I lived with a fire chief and his family. My sister lived in Bozeman with a woman that was just, she used my sister to clean the house and things like that. It wasn't like a proper foster family. And then all of a sudden meeting up in a Denny's diner on the freeway to hand us back. It was quite, it's never been right since, and I love my parents, but those sort of things stick in your head.
Oh, for sure. I'm so sorry. And absolutely. I mean, so one of the biggest things that has helped me is actually going to therapy. And I don't think enough. I was talking about this with my friend Mark the other day, and he had enough guts to get up on stage at one of our events. Now, this is a very successful guy. He's been a professional wrestler. He's been a serial entrepreneur. He runs a multi-million-dollar company right now, and he's getting ready to sell that company for $100 million. And he's just been a real successful guy. And he's a he's a man's man. He's not a, you wouldn't look at him and say he's a beta male or anything like that. I mean, but he got up on stage, man. And at one of our first events, he said, one of the best things I've ever done is for my business is go to therapy. And, you got to, when you're talking to a room full of entrepreneurs, you got to make it about the business, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's what everybody's there, everybody's there to build their business, right? And he said that. I don't know who else heard that in the room, but I did, right? And this was our first legendary event in St. Pete, Florida. And, I had already started my journey of going to therapy. This was back we're in our 5th year of business. So this was back in March of 2017. And I had really started to kind of get into therapy, serious, regular, ongoing therapy then. And man, I tell you, it's been the best thing I've ever done for my business. It's been the same thing that Mark said. And I think the reason is because, these things that you mentioned just now, we all have our own flavor of them. We all have our own scenarios, particularly, if we were raised back in the, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, I'd say even into the 90s. I don't think the invention of the internet really made information more available. But before that time, most things that happened in the home were a secret. You didn't really talk about them. And the only thing you knew was what you learned from local people. And if you had unhealthy people that your parents were learning from or socializing with, then, you were getting the brunt of that as a child. I know my father did. My parents did. My father had some real traumatic things happen in his childhood. That trauma got, in a sense, passed on to me because therapy and self-help and wasn't a big thing that was talked about in his growing up and generation. So, I then began to duplicate that same trauma, and thankfully, I just had an intervention of recovery and some help and support, and just happened to be alive at the right time to where mental health and emotional health was something that we've just started to discuss as a society. And my point is that it's such a, you talk about hypnotherapy. I have done some light, but I've done EMDR, I've done therapy. I've done, it's not, sometimes us entrepreneurs, we just look at going to a Tony Robbins seminar and think that's self-help, or scrolling Facebook for memes and reposting them, or reading the occasional business book. We think or listening to the occasional audiobook. We think that's self-help. But there's levels. That is an introduction to it. That does wet your whistle. It's like an appetizer. But there's levels in which you can delve into, and the deeper that that one goes, the more potential unlocks, because we clear away. It's like our cup is full of bullshit, trauma, and drama. You live 30 years, your ass is full of some shit, right?
Yeah.
and you got to take a shit, essentially. You got to take an emotional shit and let some of this stuff out, clear out some of that garbage in your emotional colon. And so I've been doing that for a while. You know what I mean? I've been doing that for a while, and it helps, man, because I feel a lot lighter now. I have a lot less shame and guilt about the past, and a lot less effects from trauma and drama. And I have a lot less anxiety about the future. And I can see that some of that weight is beginning to lift off you.
Thing is, with the hypnotherapy, it's all about the plasticity in the brain, and rechanneling the bad things. So when you're telling yourself that you're a loser, and your parents didn't want you, or your job's rubbish, or your boss is crap, and you start thinking, and your boss says, I need you to do this, and you don't do it quick enough, so he slates you a little bit, and you're like, oh really? And then all chips in your brain. So my hypnotherapy, I'm a good guy, you're a good guy, I want to help you, I want to speak positive stuff. People like Josh Smith, the winning edge formula on TikTok. Now, he's a kind chat. We talk. He says, you're a great guy. You come across well. And, you're seeing these nice things coming, and it overlays all the bad stuff that you've had that's chipped away at your brain. And all of a sudden, here I am 3 months ago. Well, 3 months ago, maybe, I was in a difficult situation, but, I'm quite new to TikTok, 2 months in, and I'm having a great time. It's a big transformation. It's
let's talk about that for a little bit. And Mark Scott says you are a good dude, and I want to say also absolutely you're a good man, and
Appreciate that.
it's a pleasure to have you on and speak to you. And that's one of the, I think the cool things of connecting with people, not just locally or in our little area or at our pub or in our town, but to be able to connect with people in a community that's connected all over the world, because we get this speaking these affirmations and speaking positively to people and speaking things into existence. And so,
Yeah.
yes, I
That's
agree
exactly
with.
what Mark Caramucci, he said to me, he's into affirmations. He said, tell them that you're going to have it and it's coming.
Well,
And
there's Mark right there. He's watching. All right.
yeah,
He's watching,
he's a
brother.
good man. He's a good man. He's put me straight on a couple of, I'll be honest with you, Dave, I've had a couple of difficult nights, wobbly nights. And I thought, this is hard work, because when you're
Yeah.
20 years in an industry where you're the gray man and the lone wolf, people never
Yeah.
see you. People don't see you, and then all of a sudden you're in people's faces. You're like, okay, are you going to listen? Yeah, okay, we're listening. We're having fun. I'm enjoying new people. I'm meeting all these fantastic new people, and I've done the course. And the course, I'll be honest with you, it's quite life-changing. I mean, if anyone just does the course and sees all the things that come with it, what you're learning. I mean, you're learning such great things, like, lead generations and sales and present it. Nothing I've ever done before. It's such a big impact, and it's been a fantastic transformation for everyone and me and my family. They're like, oh, Dad, you're such a different chap. I was like, thanks, I appreciate it, because it's been suppressed for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, that's great, man. Let's talk briefly about, your TikTok kind of strategy, like what you've been doing. You've gone viral quite a few times. You've got this life of a bodyguard, I think is some
Yeah.
of the series or something that you've been doing. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing that's been working.
Well, I'm pretty dedicated to the legendary, brand and the, enhancing the brand. Something I resonated with quite well is the legendary life, and the legendary ethos, about life. And then I thought, okay, I'll do 5 videos a day, because I wanted my TikTok to grow. And if you want your TikTok to grow, and your business to grow, you've got to put some effort in. 5 videos is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Every day, new content, and I'm still learning, some are working, some are not, some are happy, some are not, but I think the biggest thing that I had a bit of hate coming in the first couple of weeks, of my TikTok, because I'm an old man. They said, oh, you look like Kenny Rogers, you look like a guy from KFC. And I thought, oh, okay, whatever. Is that all you got? And then I did my bodyguarding. I do one bodyguarding video just to give an insight what it's like,
Yeah.
when I'm on a plane, or they're quite intense. Some of the clients, they want. I don't like my cars. They wake up in the morning, walk into the garage. I don't like any of my cars. He's got 10. I said I need new cars by next week. Just because he woke up, because he didn't like. That's the sort of life I have to deal with, and people like it. So if I do 5 videos of legendary and how it's changed my life, and then 1 video of my bodyguarding, it seems to grasp the people in, and it's blown up a little bit. A lot of people are asking me to, come to Saudi Arabia and train their men in bodyguarding skills. People in Tennessee, some people in South Africa have asked me to come to Cape Town. And I don't mind helping people. It's not a problem, but I think it's opened up a lot of doors being on here, and being straight. And I think the biggest thing about TikTok and legendary is consistency. If they see you pop up every day, and they see you working really hard late at night on lives, they think, okay, this guy can be trusted, and I like it, and we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
It's been that sort of thing. It's been great.
I think one of the big keys to what it seems like you're doing that's working really well, and you tell me if this fits, is that you're taking interesting stories and experiences from your past career, and you are telling those stories, and people love to hear stories, especially initially people go on every app to be entertained. I mean, any social media app, they go on to be entertained, and they go on to socialize, right, with other people, see videos, read stuff, find something that's interesting. And so you're telling these really cool stories about this unique experience that 99.99999 of us percent of us would don't have never had, will never have. And and that's kind of hooking people in. And
Yeah.
it's giving them, it's also giving you a unique identity, sort of like what I did and still do, but especially what I did when I first got started. I really hammered the construction worker thing home because that was what I had. It was kind of like, you know, this is my resume. I was a construction worker, right? But I used analogies and I used stories and I told stories about my dad and I, some funny, some sad, some just dumb, some that were interesting. And I always tried to tie it into something, right? To kind of use it as an analogy, or right. There was a reason why I was telling it, right? I was looking to get people, I was telling it just to humanize myself, so I don't just sound like a talking head, but so you could get to know who I am and where I come from and relate to me. Does that sound like it fits with what you're doing in your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted people to see, you know, we all have different careers in our lives, you know. I mean, you say you're in construction, you know, two of my top clients in the past, you know, multi-millionaires, they were in construction. And one of them actually started as a stop and go man in the road. And that's how he started his life.
Yeah.
Do you know the stop and go?
That's an interesting little story right there, just right there, right?
You know,
About what's possible. But no,
yeah,
I don't know
normal.
the stop and go things. Is that something that's unique to the UK or something?
Well, you'll know because
the stop signs, the like stop, go, those things.
Yeah, so you're in the road and there's a construction site, and the man's just like,
yeah.
And that's what he was. That's all he ever did. And then he saw a little niche in the market. He thought, okay, right, what am I going to do? I can't be doing this the rest of my life. So then he went in England. You have to have there's like a derelict building. So he went in and got backers to pay for the building, and then he took the building to the council. The council put planning permission in place that he could build a 50-story, 100-bed accommodation flats or apartments, and then he would sell the building and the plans to bigger companies for millions, and that's where he made his money. He thought, I don't want to stand in the road anymore. I don't want to twist and go. I got to change to know. So I looked after him for a couple of years. You know, he's got his own jet, his own boat, his different lifestyle, because he saw a niche in the market and he saw a loophole and he wanted to go exploit it, and he did, and he's very successful. So anyone can be anything. It's all about the mindset, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned earlier about Tony. So Tony and Sage, you know, I'm with them for a little bit of time when they first met, you know, in 2002. You know, it's a new blossoming relationship, and you know, most fantastic man.
Did you know Gary King, who has also worked security for them?
Yeah. So we went from London to Los Angeles, and you know, Sage was there and Tony was there. He was just nonstop talking about positive things, and you couldn't help but just sit there and go, where's this coming from? You know, I get off, and it was just so fantastic, the things he would say. It was just the best. You know, you just want to get off the plane and just be with him all the time.
You talk about Tony?
Yeah. And Sage, you know, when they first met.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, you know, one thing that I talked about yesterday, and I talked about this a little bit on a coaching call yesterday as well, was talking and giving people what they want, not particularly what they need. And what I meant by this, and what I mean by this, is that, you know, there's a meme that I love that has it has two images, and there's a guy with a microphone talking to a crowd of people, and he says, "Who wants change?" And they all raise their hand. And then in the second part of the picture, he says, "Who wants to change?" And nobody raises their hand, right? Because people initially, their instinct is they want change, and only later do they realize if they actually, for example, want to pursue losing weight or getting in shape. It's like, I might buy something at 2:00 in the morning, a program, because I think, oh, I'll do that. Yeah, I want change. I could, just do this simple little thing for 3 minutes a day. But then when I get into it, I realize, well, I also got to cut out 80% of the stuff I'm eating right now and probably go on, get 10,000 steps a day and kind of all this stuff. You realize that you need to change. What would you say that you're talking about in your content that is on that side or in that category of giving people what they want? What do you think is the thing that you're talking about or that is a part of your content that is the real red meat that gets people's attention and is kind of speaks to what they want? Is it that you're talking about quitting job? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, very much. I think that, I think being real is the only way forward on the TikTok. If you're real and people resonate with you, and if you start throwing in words like real life stories, like, I was at the brink, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with myself. I'm going through a crisis, midlife crisis, maybe I've lost something, I'm depressed, I'm really down, or I'm fighting a battle within. And then you tell people that your battle is, here it is. All of a sudden, people are like, do you know what? I've got the same battle, but I won't talk about it. And there's someone talking about it, and they're talking. All of a sudden, they're hooked, and they want to be part of that because you're actually being real and transparent. And then when you're on your live feed in the evening time, people saying, I saw your video today, and tell me how you got out of that, and I want some help out of that. And you've got this relationship. And when they see you on a relationship, they just want to see more of you. And you talk more of your stories. Yes, I have a lot of stories, but we all got lives of stories. Some people, we've all had difficult times and trauma, but it gets people in because you're real. And I feel that's the passion I have at the moment. I like people to tell my story because I want them to come back and say, do you know what? A year ago, when COVID hit, I lost the whole thing. I lost my business. I lost my mum. I lost my dad, whatever. And here I am. I'm raw. And I think that's a big thing that people get hooked into if you're raw and straight.
Well, that's interesting, man. I think you're right. I think a lot of people are, are desensitized from just kind of, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at this, are desensitized to things that don't move them. And if we listen to something or we watch something and it's not funny, it doesn't hit you and pull some heartstrings. I think it's hard for people to really get, for them really to pay attention for more than a couple of seconds. I also think that if we were to watch some of your content, we would be able to pull out some of the transitions where you then give a call to action to talk about helping people make money online and helping people, of course, to be able to quit their job and so forth, right? So because you're promoting make money online trainings, programs, products, and essentially that's kind of your focus right now. Is that right?
It is, yeah. It's definitely my focus. I want people, I'll be honest, being new to TikTok, I'm still learning off a lot of people. I watch some videos that are very good. Some of that are captivate me and stuff like that. And sometimes it's, pretty difficult to understand what the hook, sometimes you want to tell your story and you forget the hook at one time or to get people really into it, because I go off on a tangent. I'm like, it might be interesting to some people. Some people just keep going on. But, I'm still learning that skill, and it takes time to get that, doesn't it? Some people are very good at it. Some people are really good at it.
No, it does to use to hook somebody, and then tie that hook in then with a transition to some sort of a story, and then give a call to action. It's an art for sure, and the more you do it, the better you get. The more you do it, the better you get, and you're doing it. You're getting better. You're putting out, you do 4 or 5 of those a day, you're going to get better. And I think the beautiful thing about this, one of the beautiful things about this community is people like you who we can get connected to and then look at how you're doing and look at, how he's doing and she's doing. And then we can find other places to be able to learn from, of course, training and content, but then these real world examples. And then we begin to develop our own voice. we don't have to so much look at everybody else anymore, but we've got kind of those creative pipes clearing out and the ideas. And then before you know it, we got so many things to talk about that we just have a list. And it's like, I've got a month's worth of stuff that I just can't even get to. Right.
Yeah.
That's what happens. The more this becomes second nature, it's just like anything. You could talk about it for days and hours. But you're a great inspiration to us, to everybody. The fact that you've overcome so much, you've made a huge transition in your life, and we spent the majority of this episode talking about that, and I want to keep that the focus because it's such a it's been such a powerful conversation. And I want to thank you for that, and thank you for your honesty and your transparency. And, I just want to tell you to keep up the fantastic work and give us some final thoughts and words as we take this and close this bad boy out.
Well, I think that, all these, there's a lot of people on here in the legendary family watching this, and all I can say to them is, reach out to your manager. I reached out to Patrick Jones, my manager, business manager, and he helped me, a great deal. We talked for a good long time. Get in the community, get in the Facebook group, be active. Nothing's a silly question. We've all got things to say. They'll help us along the way. And if your content is not hitting the mark at the point, just keep putting it out. And some of my videos are rubbish, and some of my videos are okay, but at the end of the day, we're all learning. I'm very new at it, and I want people to do well. So, I love it to see people doing great, and that's what it's all about. But, legendary, and everyone's made me have a good mindset. And I think, biggest thing I can learn from it would be the mindset's key, and affirmations.
Yeah. Well, brother, we're going to send a bunch of people your way to go and connect with you and continue to lift you up and keep doing what you're doing because it looks good on you. That smile looks good on you.
Thanks,
and keep up the good work. All right, Ian?
I appreciate it, Dave. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and to Matt as well. I appreciate it. And all the legendary Roxy and Abigail. They've helped me the last couple of weeks. It's been great.
You're very welcome, man. You're very deserving. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much.
See you. All right, my friends, go lift that man up, all right, and continue to support him as he supports you, right, because that's what this is about. Let's keep chugging along. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Be legendary. Get out of here. Go live your dreams, right? All right, do it the legendary way, the legendary lifestyle. Have a kick-ass Tuesday. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.